Yeah. Okay. Just want to dedicate tonight's learning to Nishmas, my Chav Chaim Shnei Zalman, all the Shalom Shem Yaakov Shichya, and Techiyas Hameisim. Wanted to speak tonight. Subject that I touched upon in the past. It's a very, very, very broad subject in all aspects of the Torah, which is Techiyas Hameisim. Techiyas Hameisim, Yeah, Techiyas Hameisim has many, many different angles to speak about, but then there's famous debate, the differences of opinion between the Rambam, the Ramban, and others. What's the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim, and what is Techiyas Hameisim going to last forever? In other words, will the neshamas, the souls, remain in their bodies forever, or it's just a temporary state? So, first of all, I just want to start with the basic. Techiyas Hameisim is the 13th of the 12 principles of faith that Rambam formulated.
The 13th of the 12.
The 13th of the 13th. The 13th of the 13 principles of faith that the Rambam put together is Techiyas Hameisim.
Where's Moshiach?
Moshiach is the 12th, yeah. So, now why is Techiyas Hameisim a principle of faith? We discussed in the past why Moshiach is a principle of faith. Why is Techiyas Hameisim a principle of faith? So the Rambam himself explains why. The Rambam wrote a whole letter called the Geder Semarim Techiyas Hameisim. The reason why he wrote the letter is a very fascinating letter. The reason why he wrote the letter is because the Rambam was accused by people that misunderstood his Sefer, Mishnah Torah, that he doesn't believe in Techiyas Hameisim. They thought that according to the Rambam, after the neshama person passes away, his soul goes to Gan Eden, and that's it. Because what it really boiled down to is that many Maimori Chazal, which they interpret to be speaking about the world of the resurrection, the Rambam interprets to be speaking about Gan Eden, to be speaking about life after death in the world upstairs. So they understood that the Rambam doesn't hold of Techiyas Hameisim. The Rambam says, first, I don't know what to do. The Rambam, as I mentioned clearly, as one in Hilchas Tshuva, when he discusses people that are called Kait from heretics, one of them, some that deny Techiyas Hameisim. That is how many times we have to write it, to prove that. You open up my book, you'll see. Just rewording the Rambam writes.
In the Geras.
Yeah, the Rambam says they made him whatever, but then the Rambam goes on that the real core of the problem. What's very interesting is that, by the way, we have the letter that was written, the letter what the Rambam is responding to. We have a copy of it out there. It's printed. Officially, it's Masha, that's the letter, even though maybe it's not full copy of the letter. There's also another letter she didn't get a chance to get a hold of. They printed a number of years ago. There's a student of the Rambam, Rabbi Yosef, that before the Rambam himself gave an answer, he also wrote the Farantra, the sheet of his teacher, the Rambam. So actually from that whole dialogue, we probably... I don't know if we have the actual Ksav of the Rambam. It's in Arabic. It was written in Arabic. So they have Hatakas. They have copies of the Arabic. Sure. Yeah, it was handwritten. But I'm saying, right? We don't. Certain parts of the Mishnah Torah we have the actual. It's good, but I'm saying more or less, if you could also check the differences between the copies. But fine, so the part of. But before we get to that, the Rambam writes, why is it a principle of faith? The Rambam writes, now, he writes like this, he says, why would someone deny Techiyas Hameisim? Someone would deny Techiyas Hameisim for one of two reasons. Either because he believes that there's no sufficient proof in the Torah for it. It's not that he denies Techiyas Hameisim because he doesn't believe it could happen. But he denies Techiyas Hameisim, he denies that the Torah promises Techiyas Hameisim. Not that Rambam shows, he goes to explain that it's, you have to say that there's Techiyas Hameisim, even though the Rambam holds that in the Torah itself, in the Chumash itself, there's no absolute proof for Techiyas Hameisim, but in the words of the Nevi'im, there's psukim that you can't explain them any other way besides saying that there'll be Techiyas Hameisim. So therefore, the Rambam, the person denies Techiyas Hameisim for one of two reasons. Either because the Torah doesn't say it, so then he's denying what the Torah says, because there's certain psukim that There's no other way of explaining them that they mean literally it would be Techiyas Hameisim. And second of all, the other reason why, which is the main reason why what Rambam considers it a principle of faith, someone that denies Techiyas Hameisim is because he denies the concept of miracles. It's hard for him, the reason why it's hard for him to digest the concept of Techiyas Hameisim is because he doesn't believe in the concept of miracles. If someone doesn't believe in miracles, what's the problem with that? Someone doesn't believe in miracles, the Rambam writes, that will cause him not to believe in the whole Torah. Why? Because the whole Torah is based, someone doesn't believe in miracles means that he believes, the Rambam says, that he was explaining, based on the philosophy of those days, people didn't believe in miracles because they believed that Eibusha didn't create the world. The world is a kadma, whatever, the philosophers, I don't want to discuss this, it's not relevant. They believe the world always existed together with Eibusha. They believe it came from, but I don't want to get, but I'm discussing my I don't want to start getting into Chakir over here. So they believe, but they can't really interfere with the world, how the world runs. If that's the case, Techiyas Mitzrayim didn't happen. You know, all the miracles that the Torah is based on, and it affects the whole belief of Yiddishkeit. If you don't believe that the world is created by the Eibusha, the world is a kadmon,
So
that the world isn't a kadmon.
don't believe in miracles, believes in Moshiach, yeah, or don't believe in Techiyas Hameisim.
First of all, you want to know, is it possible for him to believe in Techiyas Hameisim, not to believe in Techiyas Hameisim and believe in Moshiach? What Rambam basically saying, if you don't believe in Techiyas Hameisim, you don't believe in miracles, you don't believe in the Torah, period. So I don't know how much he would believe in Moshiach, but maybe he would taina that he believes in a natural way Moshiach would come.
Kommen zum 13. Iker, but the 12th Iker is...
Nein, Moshiach, this highlights even more. According to the Rambam, Moshiach is not a supernatural occurrence. And the Rambam goes on to explain part of the reason why the Rambam himself holds B'negei Moshiach. The Rambam explains back in that letter that a number of psukim which seem to be miraculous events, like the Gar Zevim Kevis, that the wolf will live together with the lamb, is not taken literally. The Rambam explains why that wherever there's a possibility to interpret a pasuk, not literally accept it, but he says that by Techiyas Hameisim I have no choice. With a certain psukim you could only translate. You can't. It doesn't make sense to explain them. Or you can't explain them in a metaphoric way that it's speaking shulei kipshutai. So in the of Techiyas Hameisim you have to accept you have to accept that it means kipshutai. But Moshiach Mashiach doesn't mean that it has to happen kipshutai.
Can go to the universe to be different.
What?
The Torah is endless. The Torah gives information in you can find the
And that he does believe.
Okay, yes, child he believes, and he believes in Mashiach also.
But part of believing, part of Yud Gimel, if I'm not mistaken, is that if you believe that the Olam, you have to believe the Olam is a Mechudesh. You have to believe that the world was created by the Eibishter. Otherwise, I don't remember the whole philosophy over here, but otherwise it leads, the Rambam discusses more. Otherwise, in the ancient philosophy of those days, if you don't believe that the world is created by the Eibishter, or it's a Mechudesh, that the world didn't exist, it was a new thing, it was put into entity, then it goes against a lot of principles of the belief of the Torah. The Rambam, I forget in which you saw it, in the 11th, maybe in the one about Schav O'Enish, in one of them he throws in, later also, we have the Kisvei Yad, the Rambam added in later more of a stress that you have to believe, he puts it into more clearly as part of certain principles of faith. I think that you have to believe that the world was created, not that the world always existed or face, whatever it might be. Whatever. So that's what the Rambam says. So, truth is, one could say, if so, the simple kasha that I have, if the Rambam says it's considered a principle of faith, because if you don't believe in it, because you don't believe in miracles, means you believe that the world, well, let's say the Eibusha didn't create the world, because that's why you can't do miracles, whatever, the world always existed on its own, whatever exactly the philosophy is behind it. So if so, why does it have to be the after belief in Techiyas Hameisim? Rambam could write, if someone doesn't believe in Yetzias Mitzrayim, why doesn't he make Yetzias Mitzrayim was one of the 13 principles which happened already, whatever it is. So, in Pshat, you could say that
the argument over there is, the argument is, if it says, that's the question. They try to say, Taylor doesn't literally say.
No, so if that's the argument the Rambam says, the Rambam is saying the reason why he puts it a principle of faith, because those that denied it didn't deny it because the Torah doesn't say it. Because the Psukim, You can't explain otherwise. But they denied it because they can't believe it's going to happen. So if so, why is so? In other words, comes from the Rambam. It's not so much Techiyas Hameisim in of itself. It's the concept of a miracle that if someone denies it, it could be that in people's eyes, Techiyas Hameisim was too much to swallow. They could believe other things that whatever. I'm sure whatever you want to say, but then there's again the reason that Rambam gives still leaves room to try to understand why he's adopted Techiyas Hameisim. You could say something that didn't happen yet, and it's easier for someone to say, I don't know, maybe I'll try to find an explanation of what happened, but to say that such a thing will happen, I can't accept. Now, Chassidus is understood why Techiyas Hameisim is so important, because that's the purpose of creation. But the Rambam doesn't hold that Techiyas Hameisim is really, at least begoli and open, what the Rambam actually wrote, doesn't hold that Techiyas Hameisim is the purpose of creation and so on. But that's, the Rambam himself explains why Techiyas Hameisim is a principle of faith. Now, what I'll say is like this. I mentioned this in the discussion that we had months ago about why Moshiach is the principle of faith, is the 12th principle, is that a number of opinions of the early Gedolei Yisrael, like the Sefer Ikrim, which questions the Rambam Taki, has a whole different approach to the principles of faith in general. And you have the Barbanel, who tries to answer these questions of the Ikrim, and these are just to name the main ones that are known, that he learns that the principle of faith, he learns the 11th principle of faith is a principle of reward and punishment. The 12th is about Moshiach, the 13th is about Techiyas Hameisim. So he learns that it's a group. The 11th, 12th, and 13th are one group. That it's a group associated with reward and punishment. Because he holds, and it's also connected with the 10th. The 10th one is Eibusher's Mashkiach. Eibusher looks upon every single thing and knows what's going on, I think. And the 11th is reward and punishment. And the 12th is Moshiach. The 13th is Techiyas Hameisim. So he says that when you see the way the world looks today, and we have the age-old question that Moshe Rabbeinu already asked, why Rosh V'Toivle Tzadik V'Ralei, not like Pshat and Tanya, why is Rosh is a good for a Rosh and for a Tzadik is a bad for a Tzadik? So we look today, we start questioning, is there really reward and punishment? Does the Eibusher really watch over every single individual and pay him according to his deeds? Well, Mashiach will come, and then all scores will be settled, the good guys will win, the bad guys will lose. Particularly by Techiyas Hameisim, the Barbanel is very strong with this whole, he actually wrote a sefer about Techiyas Hameisim that we lost. He called it Tzedek Elamim. But he has in his end of his Pirush on Pirkei Avos, it's called Machlas Avos, on the end of Perek Dalet, it speaks there about Hameisim Leichayis, the purpose, those that are born are meant to die, those that are died are meant to be resurrected. He basically he discusses in short what he discusses over there. So he's very, very big into the concept that Techiyas Hameisim will be the time when Hashem's reward and punishment will become known throughout the world. So he says that this is why Mashiach and Techiyas Hameisim are principles of faith. Because they're, so to say, branches of the 11th or even 10th principle of Hashem's Hashgacha. The Eibusher watches over every single note, looks what everyone is doing, pays attention to every single person, and the principle of reward and punishment. So the Ikrim goes through, it's going to be a separate discussion, but very briefly, the Ikrim himself holds you only need 3 principles. You need to believe in the Eibishter, you need to believe in Torah and Hashemayim, and reward and punishment. The person, he doesn't hold that, he holds you have to believe in everything that Rambam holds you have to believe in, but he doesn't consider it to be a principle of faith. He says in order that a person has to be a religious Jew, he has to believe the Eibishter exists, he has to believe the Eibishter gave the Torah, and he has to believe in reward and punishment. He doesn't believe in reward and punishment, they say, I need to fulfill the Torah mitzvahs. But he holds that all the other principles of faith are all included in these 3 things. So he asks, why does the Rambam mention them as separate principles? So one simple answer is that the Rambam holds they might be included, but every single branch is also important in of itself. This is a very balabatish answer, but there's much more to it. I don't want to get into it. So the Rambam obviously felt that it's important for a person to be aware of the details. Not only that, the Rebbe learns that the details that the Rambam mentions, one of the Ikrim is prophecy. The details the Rambam goes through different things about prophecy. The Rebbe about Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy, the Rebbe holds that this is part of what it's important for a Jew to believe. It's not just another. Rambam is not throwing it in. Stamaz if you want to add more information. Every single detail is studying the part of what a Jew has to know and believe. But that's a separate discussion. So anyway, so he holds that Techiyas Hameisim, he holds like this. According to the Barbanel, the question really is, what is the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim? And the Rambam, you know what the Rambam says? The Rambam says, I have no idea. And it doesn't bother me. I mean, more or less. I'm just rephrasing the Rambam's words. The Rambam says, the Chacham didn't explain to us what it is. We don't know many details about it. Yeah, he says that the Torah says it, we have to believe it. He also speaks a little bit about Techiyas Hameisim as Akdama to Sanhedrin, Perekiu, to Chayil, Kol Yisrael, Shalom, Chelik, Leilam Hapa. Basically, he says, if I would rephrase his words, he says, we don't know it's going to be a miracle. But it seems from the Rambam, he holds the people that will, like, I'm going to want to speak about that. He holds the people that are going to be resurrected are eventually going to pass away. So what is the point? The point of Pasha is, according to the Rambam, is they'll be able to have more time in this world to gain Torah mitzvahs, to have even a higher Eilam Haba, whatever it might be. But why? What he says, all these details about Techiyas Hameisim, the point that he makes in his Yigeres Techiyas Hameisim and in his Akdama, the Berach Chelik Alem, one of the real issues that was really coming up is for most people, they looked at Moshiach and Techiyas Hameisim as the ultimate reward. And when the Rambam writes that the ultimate reward is the world to come for the Neshama, so they felt as if the Rambam is rejecting Techiyas Hameisim. The Rambam says they totally don't get what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say in their mind, the ultimate reward that a person has is physical reward. The person has a nice house, whatever it is, and he discusses that people have no idea of what Eilam Haba is. And Neshama and the Guf can't appreciate what Eilam Haba is. So for them, the ultimate reward is Techiyas Hameisim. So therefore, when they saw how the Rambam doesn't hold of that, they said, hey, he must reject Techiyas Hameisim. The Rambam says, I don't reject Techiyas Hameisim. I just reject that this is the ultimate reward. There's nothing to the other. It's not the Rambam is not ignoring Techiyas Hameisim. So it was all part of understanding what Techiyas Hameisim is what led, because people had their own ideas of Techiyas Hameisim and didn't work with the Rambam, that led them to think that the Rambam is denying Techiyas Hameisim. So the Rambam basically writes, we don't know too much about it. Like, you might ask, not only that, the Rambam gives the whole view why the Torah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to speak about it on its own, but this wasn't the point I wanted to spin. Why doesn't the Torah mention, he says, the Nach, speak about Techiyas Hameisim. The Torah itself, you have hints for Techiyas Hameisim. The Torah doesn't openly speak about it. And he says a very, very interesting thing. It's again, you might call it apologetics, but he says that the Yidden that came out of Mitzrayim, they had to get used to the beliefs of Torah that were sunken amongst the Egyptians for so many years. They weren't yet ready to hear about Techiyas Hameisim, so to say. They had to understand the idea of Yichud Hashem and the ideas, of believing in one Eibishter and so on. So they weren't yet, so the Eibishter didn't reveal yet to them openly about Techiyas Hameisim, although it's part of whatever. It's very interesting how the Rambam explains it. The Rambam says, either there or in his Akdama, we don't know much about it, whatever, but now, the Abarbanel focuses a lot on how the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim is to cause people to serve the Eibishter. How? He says, what's going to happen? He says, you hear of near-death experiences. Never heard of it before. You should never know of it. If you go today, plenty of videos of those people that they almost, it's like this roof in Yiddish Hinerplet, yeah? There's a word for it in Yiddish. They have Hinerplet. It was like near-death experience. They would come and they say,
come back into the world.
They come back. The mother already mentioned, the mother Psachim, a guy went up, he saw the whatever. But anyway, so people, they go and they tell you what they saw upstairs, Gan Eden, Gehenna, whatever, the Dino Mishma that goes on. So get up this lot city, wakes up people a little bit to the reality of life. So he says, what's going to happen by Techiyas Hameisim? He says, imagine everyone will get up, people that were, and they're going to start saying what's going on upstairs. Not only that, you'll have the marshal, imagine Oisei Ish stands up and he'll explain to everyone how the whole religion is one big baloney. That other people blew it up after him, but so he says, you imagine the great awareness of the Eibusher that this will bring. So this is one of the main purposes of Techiyas Hameisim that he holds. He says, besides, it's also, one thing is Pashut, V'heishi levavis abonim levanim alavoisim. You have people who come back from the world of truth and tell the people living down here what's going on. It's going to have a tremendous effect in the world. Besides the fact that according to the Barbanel, it's also reward and punishment. A lot of reward and punishment is going to be by the Yom Hadin after Eilam Haba. The Rambam seems to learn that it's whatever. How the Rambam seems to learn is a separate question. But anyway, so according to Barbanel, he groups Techiyas Hameisim together with the Ikrim, not only the Barbanel, Ikrim together with the Ikrim of reward and punishment. This also depends a little bit who's going to stand up at Techiyas Hameisim. And it gets very complex over here because some people say everyone will stand up, some people say only the Tzaddikim will get up, only the Tzaddikim get up, it's reward and punishment. If everyone will get up, so then it could also be reward and punishment, because Tzaddikim will be rewarded and they'll be punished, but there's a lot to discuss over here. Anyway, so the purpose, huh?
As Girse the Yankees will go 4 years after Moshiach comes.
That steht in the Zayah, yeah.
Unless Tzaddikim, they'll come.
Tzaddikim,
right
yeah.
Huh?
So the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim is and why Techiyas Hameisim is a principle of faith. In the Sifrei Chakira, in the books of Chakira, is not. There's a big debate over here, which is what I mainly want to speak about between the Rambam and the Ramban. The Ramban holds that the purpose, not the debate, as everything in Torah, you have many times you have books and books of Svarim trying to explain one way of looking at it. Books and Svarim trying to explain another way of looking at it. And everyone brings rayos, a ton of rayos, and they argue back and forth. The answer to their debate is not really in taking a Maimer Chazal. Every Maimer Chazal, one guy will bring, the other guy will bring also, will explain it differently. It's a muskal rishon. There's a basic concept that can't be explained based on any proof that this particular Tana Amoira Rishon had. The other Rishon had another. I think the Ramban writes in the Sefer Muhammad Hashem. You can't nothing in Torah that could be proved absolutely. It all really boils down to your Mishkal Hadas, how you understand the whole thing to begin with. And you see that clearly of this. What ended up was a huge debate amongst a lot of Rishonim. It's not just the Rambam and the Rambam discussing many Svarim. And a lot of the debate circled about different Maimari Chazal. You have a Maimar Chazal that says that Tzaddikim that will get up for Techiyas Hameisim won't return to their dust. This seems to imply that Techiyas Hameisim will be eternal. The Rambam clearly writes that people that get up for Techiyas Hameisim won't live forever. So this boils down, the Nekuda here, the essence of the debate boils down to one thing really. What is the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim? So the Rambam learns that the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim is for it of itself. This is the ultimate reward of the neshamas when the neshama is together with the guf. The Ramban. The ultimate reward with the neshamas when the neshama is in the guf will become much more spiritual. It says it won't be eating and drinking. Eventually the guf will become a very spiritual entity, but it'll still be a guf. And this is the ultimate reward. It should be guf and nefesh. The Rambam discusses this a little bit himself, but he rejects it. He says the whole point of the body, the Rambam was a doctor also. The whole body system is made. Half of the body is reproductive organs, is digestive organs, is breathing, and this is all to keep the person alive. But if a person doesn't eat and drink, half of his body he's not necessary. There's no eating and drinking, no reproduction, whatever. Half of his body is not there for. So why does he need to have a body then? According to the Rambam, the Nekudi here comes out. According to the Rambam, the guf, the body is something which is something, so to say, that blocks the light of the neshama. You want to get, you can't experience the true delight of the Eibishter if your neshama is in the guf. So what's the point of the guf then? So the Rambam answers, well, the guf was there before, it remained the way it is, and also he said that Api Kabbalah, basically, every limb of the body represents something l'mayla, right? The tzir of the guf, Adam Matafta represents the tzir of the guf Adam Elyon, of the Eibishter, so to say, whatever, the world of Atzilus. So there's a reason for all of that. But the Rambam even says maybe according to them the body will turn into a triangle. In other words, if you don't need an organ, so what type of body is it going to be? Some different type of body, so what do you need it for? But you see, according to the Rambam, the body is there as a means to an end. It's not an end into itself. That's what you see clearly. According to the Rambam, it's in the true delight only the neshama could experience. The body is just here to help the neshama get its delight. So the Rambam says, what's the point of the body? So he holds of Techiyas Hameisim, but the ultimate reward will be the neshama goes higher than the guf. The Ramban holds no, there's a purpose in the body itself. The purpose is the neshama should be together with the guf. The ultimate is really what Chassidus says. Chassidus goes a little even deeper than the Ramban. Chiddush of Chassidus is, not only does the body going to be together with the guf, but the guf will be even higher than the neshama. But the ultimate reward is that the neshama will experience godliness through the body, because after the body of a Jew is connected with the essence of the Eibishter is higher than the neshama.
According to the Rambam, what's the purpose of Techiyas Hameisim?
The purpose of Techiyas Hameisim, according to the Rambam, is he himself writes, like, more or less these types of questions don't really know the answer, but it seems that some people say that the neshama should be able to get added. What's the purpose of life in this world in general? Is that a person should be able to say the mitzvahs to experience the world to come. So the neshama comes. So the neshama, when as many mitzvahs we can't even do now. There's many things that when Moshiach will come, a person will be able to reach a much greater level of fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs, which is a means to another end to go. As the Rambam writes, the whole reason why the Chachamim wanted the days of Mashiach was in order they should be able to serve the Eibush in that way, that they should be able to experience Shalom Haba. Same thing is now why those neshamas will come down. Some people say it's a little bit of a reward for the neshama, for the group. What we have to stop to review. We have enough. What? Fine. Continue next week. Okay.